Welcome back, coin hunters. Money today, we're looking at the top 4 most valuable and super rare Lincoln Wheat Pennies from the United States. Some wheat pennies that look ordinary at first glance can become highly desirable to collectors when their date, mint mark, variety, condition, and other important details line up. Could one of these old 1-cent coins be hiding in your collection, coin jar, or inherited change? Stay with us as we reveal the history, key features, collector demand, and current market values that make these wheat pennies so exciting. These historic US coins have been around for generations, and certain examples can command impressive prices in the collector market. In today's video, we'll explore 4 standout wheat pennies and explain what collectors look for when determining their potential value. So before you spend or overlook an old wheat penny, take a close look at the date, mint mark, condition, and overall appearance. You might be holding a fascinating piece of American coin history. Let's get started. First up, the Lincoln cent was designed by Victor David Brenner and features Abraham Lincoln facing right on the obverse. The words "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1941 surround the portrait, while the reverse carries the famous 2 wheat ears framing, 1 cent, and United States of America. At the top of the reverse is EPLURBUSUNUM. The 1941 issue was produced just before the United States entered World War II, giving these pennies a strong historical connection to one of the most important periods of the 20th century. The Philadelphia version carries no mint mark because Philadelphia cents of this era were traditionally struck without one. One of the most interesting facts about the 1941 no mint mark penny is its composition. The coin was made from a bronze alloy consisting of approximately 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. It has a diameter of about 19 millimeters, weighs approximately 3.11 grams, and has a plain edge. These specifications help collectors distinguish an authentic 1941 Lincoln Wheat cent from unusual pieces, altered coins, or possible errors. When examining an old example, collectors pay close attention to the date, the shape of Lincoln's portrait, the lettering, the wheat stalks, and the overall appearance of the surfaces. A genuine Philadelphia issue should have no D or S below the date. That small area beneath the date can be one of the first places to check when identifying your coin. The real excitement begins when condition enters the picture. A 1941 penny that spent decades circulating can show scratches, discoloration, flattening, and wear across Lincoln's hair and the wheat ears. But an exceptionally preserved example can look completely different. Collectors and grading services evaluate factors such as strike quality, surface preservation, original color, luster, and the amount of remaining detail. Brown, and red designations can also make a major difference among high-grade copper cents. For a collector building a premium Lincoln Wheat cent set, a sharply struck coin with beautiful original surfaces can become much more desirable than an ordinary circulated example from the same year. There is another reason collectors should examine a 1941 Philadelphia cent carefully. Recognized varieties exist within the issue. PCGS lists 1941 Lincoln cents in brown, and red versions, along with double-die obverse varieties. There are also unusual pieces such as thicker-than-normal planchet examples that have attracted specialist attention. This means the date and lack of a mint mark are only the beginning of the investigation. If you have a coin that appears unusually sharp, has unusual lettering or doubling, or seems different from a normal 1941 cent, careful examination can reveal details that ordinary casual inspection might miss. This is where experienced collectors, professional graders, and variety specialists become especially valuable. When it comes to current market value, it is important to understand that the 1941 no mint mark wheat penny does not have one single price. Its value depends heavily on grade, color designation, variety, certification, and actual market demand. Standard circulated examples can remain relatively affordable, while attractive uncirculated examples can bring several dollars or more. Published price information shows a substantial rise at the highest certified grades, particularly for original red examples. PCGS records an impressive auction result of $15,600 for a 1941 Philadelphia Lincoln cent graded MS68RD at a heritage auction sale in January 2025. That result demonstrates how dramatically exceptional preservation can change the financial level of a coin that originally carried a face value of only 1 cent. For viewers searching through old collections, inherited coin jars, albums, or boxes of wheat pennies, the most important message is to inspect the coin rather than judging it only by its age. Being from 1941 makes the penny historically old, But age alone does not automatically make every example extremely valuable. The strongest opportunities come from the combination of age, preservation, originality, rarity, and collector demand. A circulated 1941 Philadelphia cent may have modest market value, while a beautifully preserved certified specimen can move into the hundreds or potentially thousands of dollars, depending on its grade and characteristics. Current reference sources show that the finest red examples can command far more, with PCGS documenting the $15,600 MS68RD auction record. Another exciting part of collecting this coin is comparing it with the other 1941 mint issues. Philadelphia produced the no-mint mark version with approximately 887,018,000 pieces, while Denver produced 128,700,000 with a D-mint mark, and San Francisco produced 92,360,000 with an S-mint mark. This makes the Philadelphia issue the largest production of the three regular 1941 mint issues, but large mintage does not prevent exceptional individual coins from becoming valuable. The highest demand is often concentrated on coins that survived in extraordinary condition, especially pieces retaining attractive original red color and exceptional mint state preservation. If you believe your 1941 wheat penny is a particularly strong example, handling it carefully is extremely important. Avoid aggressive cleaning, polishing, rubbing, or using chemicals to make the surface appear brighter. Original surfaces are highly important to collectors, and improper cleaning can dramatically reduce desirability. Instead, examine the coin under good lighting and compare the details of Lincoln's portrait, the date, lettering, wheat ears, and overall surfaces. If the coin appears unusually sharp or has an unusual variety, professional authentication and grading may be worth considering. A certified grade from a respected grading service can provide buyers and collectors with greater confidence when a coin reaches the higher end of the market. The 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny with no mint mark is therefore much more than an ordinary 1-cent piece. It is a surviving piece of American history from a pivotal era, carrying the classic Lincoln design that collectors have pursued for generations. Most importantly, the coin demonstrates one of the central lessons of coin collecting. The difference between an ordinary example and an extraordinary example can be enormous. A normal circulated coin may be worth only a small amount, while a rare variety or exceptionally preserved certified specimen can attract serious collector attention and reach hundreds, thousands, or, in extraordinary documented cases, much higher levels. So if a 1941 no-mint mark wheat penny is sitting in your collection, don't overlook it. Check the details, protect the surfaces, study the grade, and investigate anything unusual. You may be holding a fascinating piece of American numismatic history with far more collector interest than its 1-cent face value suggests. Next up, the 1949 D carries the small d mint mark below the date, identifying it as a Denver issue. The Denver Mint produced 153,132,500 examples in 1949, and PCGS records the coin as a 19mm, 3.11 gram bronze cent composed of 95% copper with tin and zinc. What makes this coin especially exciting is that the ordinary-looking examples tell the story of decades of American circulation, while exceptional examples with outstanding preservation, attractive color, or an important variety can attract much stronger collector attention. The 1949 D Lincoln Wheat Penny belongs to one of the most recognizable coin designs in American history. Victor David Brenner's portrait of Abraham Lincoln appears on the obverse, while the reverse features the famous two wheat ears surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America. The wheat reverse was used from 1909 through 1958, making the 1949 D part of the closing chapter of an iconic series. By 1949, the United States was entering the post-war era, and these pennies were actively used in everyday commerce. Millions passed through stores, banks, cash registers, pockets, and coin jars. That long journey is part of what gives a surviving 1949 D its historical character today. Even when the coin is rough, worn, dark, or heavily circulated, it remains a genuine piece of mid-century American monetary history. One of the first details collectors should examine is the mint mark. On a 1949 D, the D beneath the date is extremely important because it separates the Denver issue from the Philadelphia and San Francisco issues of the same year. The date should also be examined carefully because old copper cents can develop surface discoloration, scratches, corrosion, dirt, and other signs of long circulation that may make the lettering appear weaker than it originally was. The reverse is equally important. Look closely at the wheat stalks, the lettering, the central details, and the overall strike. Even on a very rough specimen, recognizable design details can make the coin more interesting to collectors. And for anyone examining a 1940-90 under magnification, the mintmark area deserves special attention, because PCGS recognizes a 1940-90/D repunch mintmark variety, including the F-501 die variety. Now let us talk about condition, because this is where the 1940-90 Lincoln Wheat Penny can become particularly interesting. A very rough coin is normally valued differently from a sharply preserved, certified mint state example, but rough condition does not mean the coin has no collector interest. Instead, collectors look at the complete picture: date, mint mark, remaining detail, surfaces, color, possible varieties, originality, and overall eye appeal. Brown, and red designations can make a major difference at the higher grades, because original red copper color becomes increasingly desirable as preservation improves. PCGS lists separate 1940-90 varieties for brown, and red examples, showing how strongly color and preservation are incorporated into the collecting market. The market becomes even more exciting when we move from ordinary circulated examples into certified high-grade coins. PCGS current guide data shows 1940-90 examples reaching approximately $1,350 in the upper listed red grades, and as high as $8,000 at the top end of its guide for the issue. Even more impressive, the documented auction history demonstrates that exceptional examples can command substantial prices. PCGS records a $7,800 auction result for a PCGS MS67 plus RD 1940-90 Lincoln cent sold by Heritage Auctions on January 19, 2025. That is a powerful reminder that the value of an old penny is not determined simply by its 1-cent denomination. When condition, certification, color, and scarcity within the highest grades come together, collectors can compete strongly for the right specimen. There is another fascinating opportunity hiding within this date: the 1940-90/D repunched mintmark variety. This variety was created when the mintmark was punched into the die more than once in slightly different positions, leaving visible evidence of the earlier impression. It is catalogued by PCGS as the F-501 variety, and documented examples show that variety collectors specifically search for these unusual pieces. PCGS records an auction result of $440 for a 1940-90/D RPM red example graded MS64, while another brown example reached $100 in a U55. For someone holding a rough 1940-90, this is why careful examination can be worthwhile. A coin that initially appears ordinary may deserve closer inspection if the mintmark shows unusual doubling or a repunched appearance. The age of this penny adds another layer to its appeal. A 1940-90 is now roughly 77 years old, placing it firmly within the classic era of United States coinage. Every surviving example has experienced its own journey, and the condition of the surfaces can reveal clues about that journey. A heavily worn coin may have spent decades circulating, while a sharply preserved example may have remained protected in a collection or original storage. Collectors enjoy putting together complete Lincoln Wheat cent sets, and the 1940-90 can serve as an important date and mintmark entry. PCGS also identifies substantial survival estimates for the issue, including approximately 15 million examples across all grades, around 4,000 at MS60 or better, and about 2,000 at MS65 or better. This makes the high-grade segment particularly important when discussing strong market values. If your 1940-90 is in very rough condition, the most exciting question is whether something unusual separates it from a normal circulated example. Start by checking that the date really reads 1949 and that the mintmark is clearly a D. Then inspect the mintmark with a magnifying glass for possible repunching. Examine the surfaces for unusual characteristics, and look carefully at the wheat stalks and lettering. Do not clean or polish the coin in an attempt to make it look newer. Original surfaces are extremely important in numismatics, and cleaning can permanently change the appearance of an old copper coin. Instead, preserve the coin exactly as you found it, and if you believe it could be a significant variety or unusually valuable specimen, consider professional authentication and grading. The current market story of the 1940-90 is therefore much bigger than the face value printed on the coin. A normal circulated example should not automatically be advertised as a hundreds or thousands of dollars coin, but the upper end of the market demonstrates that exceptional certified pieces can reach hundreds, and in the finest documented examples, several $1,000s. PCGS auction records provide concrete evidence of this difference. A 1949 MS65 RD example sold for $10 in one recorded auction, an MS67 RD example sold for $144, while the extraordinary MS67 Plus RD example reached $7,800 in 2025. This enormous spread shows exactly why collectors pay close attention to grade, color, variety, certification, and eye appeal rather than judging every 1940-90 penny by the same price. So before you spend, discard, or overlook a 1940-90 Lincoln Wheat Penny, take another look. The little D beneath the date connects the coin directly to the Denver Mint. The wheat reverse connects it to one of America's most beloved classic cent designs, and its age places it among the historic Lincoln cents that collectors continue to study today. A rough example can still be an enjoyable collectible and an important piece of American history, while a remarkable example with strong preservation, attractive original color, or a recognized repunched mintmark variety can move into a much more competitive collector market. The key is careful examination and realistic valuation. Remember that market prices change with grade, certification, color designation, variety, authenticity, and actual auction results. The figures discussed here are reference market examples rather than a guarantee that every 1940-90 penny will sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars. If your coin has an unusual feature, preserving it properly and having it professionally evaluated can be the best next step. Next up, the 1955 Lincoln cent is one of the most famous coins of the entire Wheat Penny series, and its story becomes especially interesting because the Philadelphia Mint produced the regular 1955 cents without a mint mark. The coin carries the classic Lincoln portrait on the obverse and the two wheat ears on the reverse, representing one of the most recognizable designs in American coinage. The regular 1955 Philadelphia issue had a reported mintage of about 330.96 million circulation strikes, so the date itself is not rare simply because it has no mint mark. What makes 1955 especially exciting for collectors is the combination of its historical importance, famous varieties, condition rarity, and the possibility of finding a remarkable example with characteristics that collectors strongly desire. The history behind this penny takes us back to the middle of the 1950s, when the United States was producing enormous quantities of Lincoln cents for everyday commerce. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln cent had already become a legendary part of American history by 1955. On the front, Abraham Lincoln faces right, while the inscriptions "Liberty, in God We Trust" and the date 1955 identify the coin. Because this particular example has no mint mark, it points to Philadelphia production, where cents traditionally carried no mint letter during this era. On the reverse, the familiar wheat stalks frame the words 1 cent and United States of America, with EPLUIBUSUNUM above. Every one of these details gives the coin tremendous historical character, because this is not simply an old penny. It is a surviving piece of mid-century American commerce from more than 7 decades ago. One of the most important things to understand about a 1955 no-mint mark wheat penny is that collectors do not judge its value from the date alone. They study the complete coin. The surfaces, amount of remaining detail, color, strike quality, luster, marks, and overall eye appeal can dramatically change collector interest. A very fine example is particularly attractive because it still retains a substantial amount of the original design detail while showing the natural circulation expected from a coin that spent time in commerce. On the obverse, collectors will closely examine Lincoln's portrait, hair details, cheek, jawline, coat, and the lettering around the rim. On the reverse, the wheat ears, lettering, and central details are equally important. A well-preserved, very fine specimen can be much more appealing to a collector than a heavily worn example, especially when the surfaces remain clean and the major design elements are clearly visible. The famous story of the 1955 Lincoln cent becomes even more exciting when collectors begin looking for the legendary 1955 doubled die obverse. This is one of the best-known era varieties in American coin collecting. The doubling is especially dramatic on the date and lettering, making the variety immediately interesting when the characteristics are genuine and clearly visible. PCGS explains that improperly prepared dies created the famous doubling, and estimates that roughly 20,000 to 24,000 examples were produced. This variety became one of the most celebrated Lincoln cent errors in the hobby and remains highly sought after by collectors. That means anyone examining a 1955 no-mint mark penny should pay close attention to the date and obverse lettering rather than casually assuming every 1955 penny is identical. And this is where the potential for major collector value enters the story. A normal 1955 no-mint mark Lincoln cent in circulated condition does not automatically become a hundreds or thousands of dollars coin simply because it is old. The major money associated with 1955 examples is connected to exceptional condition, certified high-grade pieces, and especially recognized varieties such as the double-die obverse. For example, PCGS auction records show a 1955 double-die obverse, graded a U55 selling for $1,645, while another a U55 example recorded a $1,650 sale. A June 2026 Stack's Bowers result reached $3,050 for a 1955 double-die obverse example. These documented sales demonstrate why specialists examine every detail of a 1955 cent so carefully. The condition of the coin is another major part of the value story. Your very fine 1955 no-mint mark penny occupies an important place in the grading spectrum because it has enough surviving detail to make the coin attractive while still showing circulation. Collectors often compare the amount of wear on Lincoln's portrait, the sharpness of the wheat stalks, the strength of the lettering, and the condition of the fields. Color can also matter, because copper Lincoln cents may be classified as brown, or red depending on their preserved surfaces and appearance. A coin that has spent decades protected from harsh environments can maintain much stronger visual appeal than another coin of the same date that experienced heavy exposure. Certification can also provide additional confidence when a coin is submitted to a respected grading service, especially when a valuable variety is suspected. The current market demonstrates just how dramatically condition and variety can influence the 1955 Lincoln cent. For ordinary Philadelphia examples, certified mint state pieces can sell for relatively modest amounts compared with the famous double die. PCGS records, for example, show a 1955 Philadelphia cent graded MS66 red selling for $45 in one recorded transaction. At the same time, a much more elite MS67 plus red example sold for $1,320, with PCGS noting the exceptional condition rarity of that specimen. These results are important because they show the enormous spread between an ordinary example and an exceptional condition rarity. For a collector holding a very fine coin, the real excitement comes from examining whether it contains a recognized variety or other significant characteristic that can place it into a completely different category of collector demand. Another reason the 1955 wheat penny remains so popular is the emotional connection collectors have with the wheat cent series. These pennies circulated during a fascinating period of American history, and many were saved by families, placed into coin albums, or forgotten in old containers for decades. Today, collectors building complete Lincoln Wheat Penny sets need the 1955 issue, and specialists also pursue different grades, colors, varieties, and certified examples. The combination of age, historical importance, recognizable design, and famous 1955 varieties keeps this date firmly on the radar of serious Lincoln cent collectors. When a coin has strong detail and attractive surfaces, it can become much more interesting than its 1 cent face value suggests. So, when discussing the possible dollar value of a 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny with no mint mark in very fine condition, it is important to separate the normal coin from the extraordinary examples. A regular circulated 1955 Philadelphia cent is generally a modest value collectible, while exceptional certified examples and recognized varieties can move into the hundreds or thousands of dollars. Documented auction results show that the famous 1955 double die can reach well into the thousands, including the $3,050 June 2026 result mentioned above, while high-grade regular strikes can also command substantially more than ordinary circulated examples. The lesson is simple: never judge the value of a 1955 penny only by looking at the date. The exact variety, grade, color, surfaces, certification, and market demand all matter. Before you decide that your 1955 no-mint mark wheat penny is ordinary, give it a careful inspection under good lighting. Look closely at the date, especially for unmistakable doubling rather than simple damage or machine doubling. Examine Liberty and In God We Trust, then turn the coin over and inspect the wheat ears and lettering. Avoid cleaning or polishing the coin, because original surfaces are extremely important to collectors and improper cleaning can hurt desirability. If your coin appears unusually sharp, attractive, or potentially doubled, professional authentication and grading can be worthwhile. The biggest lesson from the 1955 Lincoln cent is that a tiny 1-cent coin can carry an enormous amount of history, and the right variety or exceptional condition can transform an ordinary-looking piece of pocket change into a highly desirable collectible. As we look at the 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny in today's collector market, this is exactly why old coins should never be dismissed simply because they look small or ordinary. The 1955 date has a legendary place in Lincoln cent history. The no mint mark issue connects it to Philadelphia production, and the famous double die variety has created decades of collector demand. A very fine example already gives you a fascinating historical coin with substantial surviving detail, while an authenticated variety or exceptional quality specimen can enter a much higher value category. The most exciting part of coin collecting is the discovery itself, the possibility that a coin overlooked for decades may contain a feature that another collector has been searching for. So if you have a 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny with no mint mark, don't spend it casually. Examine it carefully, preserve its original condition, and if the details look special, consider having it evaluated by a qualified numismatist or professional grading service. In the world of Lincoln cents, the 1955 issue remains one of the dates that can make collectors stop, look twice, and ask one important question. What exactly is this penny hiding? Important value disclaimer. Market values can change based on grade, certification, color designation, variety, authenticity, surface quality, eye appeal, and actual auction results. A normal very fine 1955 no mint mark Lincoln cent should not automatically be advertised as a hundreds or thousands of dollars coin. The strongest four-figure results discussed here are associated with specific recognized varieties or exceptional certified examples. Always verify the exact variety and current market before making a buying or selling decision. Next up, the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of those classic American 1-cent coins that can instantly capture the attention of collectors when a well-preserved example appears. Struck at the Denver Mint in 1957, this wheat cent belongs to the final years of the famous Lincoln Wheat Penny series, which ran from 1909 through 1958. The coin carries the historic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, while the reverse displays the familiar wheat ears surrounding the denomination and the words 1 cent and United States of America. The small D mint mark beneath the date identifies it as a Denver Mint issue. For collectors building a complete wheat penny collection, the 1957 is an important closing-era coin, and examples with attractive surfaces, strong detail, original color, and excellent preservation can command significantly more attention than an ordinary circulated example. The story behind this coin goes back to the beginning of the Lincoln cent itself. The Lincoln Wheat Penny was introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and it became one of the most recognizable coins in American history. Victor David Brenner created the famous Lincoln portrait, while the reverse featured 2 wheat ears symbolizing prosperity and agriculture. By 1957, the design had already been part of American life for nearly half a century. The 1957 therefore represents one of the final chapters of the wheat penny era, just 1 year before the design was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959. That historical position gives the coin a special place in collections, because it is not simply an old penny, it is part of the closing generation of one of America's most beloved coin designs. One of the most important features to check on a 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny is the Denver D mint mark. On the obverse, the mint mark appears below the date, and its presence immediately distinguishes the coin from the Philadelphia issue. The coin was struck in bronze, with a composition of approximately 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin, and it has the traditional 3.11 gram weight and plain edge associated with the wheat cent series. PCGS records a 1957 mintage of 1,051,342,000 pieces, showing that Denver produced more than 1 billion examples. But this is where the real collecting story becomes fascinating. Huge original production does not automatically mean every surviving coin has the same quality. Collectors can become especially interested when an individual example has outstanding preservation, attractive original color, exceptional strike quality, or a very high certified grade. The condition of your 1957 can make a major difference in its collector appeal. A coin described as being in very good condition can still be an enjoyable and desirable historical collectible, especially when the major design elements remain clearly visible and the coin has attractive overall eye appeal. However, the biggest premiums in the market generally appear when a 1957D reaches high mint state grades and maintains strong original red color. This is where grading becomes extremely important. Professional certification can separate an ordinary example from an exceptional one by documenting the coin's grade, color designation, surface quality, and preservation. For a collector searching through older wheat cents, the dream is to find a piece that has spent decades protected from heavy circulation and still displays sharp Lincoln details, clean fields, original luster, and impressive color. The reverse of the 1957D is another area that deserves careful attention. The two wheat ears are the signature feature of the wheat penny design, and their lines and details can help reveal the quality of the strike and the amount of wear. Collectors also examine the lettering, rims, wheat stalks, and overall surface for signs of preservation. A sharply struck coin with strong detail can become much more exciting to a collector than a heavily worn example. The obverse is equally important, especially Lincoln's hair, cheek, jawline, and the fields surrounding his portrait. When these areas remain crisp and attractive, the coin can make a strong visual impression. A collector looking for a high-quality 1957D wants the entire coin to work together. Strong strike, attractive color, clean surfaces, good luster, and excellent overall eye appeal. The market value of the 1957D becomes particularly interesting when we move from ordinary examples into certified high-grade territory. Documented auction records show that values can rise dramatically for exceptional coins. For example, PCGS records a 1957D graded MS67 Plus Red that sold for $6,600 at a Stack's Bowers auction in May 2019, with the auction description noting its exceptional quality and very limited population at that grade level. PCGS also records an MS67 Plus Red example with a listed PCGS price guide value of $6,500, while a different MS67 Plus Red NGC example sold for $660 in 2024. These results demonstrate why advanced collectors pay close attention to grade and certification. A 1957D may be a common date in general terms, yet an extraordinarily preserved example can become a completely different level of collectible. Another exciting part of the 1957D story is the difference between normal coins and unusual mint errors or extraordinary varieties. A standard 1957D should not automatically be described as a thousands of dollars coin simply because it is old. The greatest values are associated with specific grades, certified quality, unusual errors, or other characteristics that make an individual piece stand apart. A remarkable example from the broader 1957 Lincoln cent family was a 1957 cent struck on a silver dime planchet, graded a U55 by PCGS, which Heritage Auctions reports sold for $646.25 in January 2013. That type of error is dramatically different from a normal 1957D wheat penny, but it shows how unusual minting mistakes can transform an ordinary denomination into a major numismatic discovery. For today's collector market, the 1957D should therefore be viewed across different quality levels rather than assigned one single value. Certified auction results show MS64 examples selling around $14, while MS65 examples have appeared around the mid-teens, and MS66 examples have recorded results ranging from the mid-teens to around $30 depending on the specific coin and sale. At MS67, documented results have reached roughly $145 to $350 for different certified examples, while the very finest MS67 Plus Red pieces have reached hundreds and even thousands of dollars. This makes the 1957D a fascinating coin to investigate because the difference between an ordinary survivor and a top-quality certified example can be enormous. If you have a 1957D in very good condition, the most important thing is to examine it carefully before assuming its value. Look closely at the date and the D mint mark, then inspect Lincoln's portrait for sharpness and wear. Turn the coin over and examine the wheat ears, lettering, rim, and overall surface. Original color can also be important, particularly when the coin may have been preserved at a high level. Avoid aggressive cleaning, polishing, or rubbing, because collectors generally prefer coins that retain natural surfaces. If the coin appears unusually well preserved, getting an opinion from a reputable professional grading service can be an important step toward determining whether it belongs in a higher value category. The goal is not simply to find an old penny, but to identify the characteristics that make one particular 1957D stand out from the enormous number originally produced. The 1957D Lincoln Wheat Penny remains an exciting piece of American numismatic history because it combines age, classic design, Denver mint history, and the final era of the wheat cent. While the majority of 1957D cents do not automatically reach hundreds or thousands of dollars, the documented market proves that exceptional certified examples can attract serious collector competition and reach impressive prices, including a recorded $6,600 auction result for an MS67 plus red specimen. So if you come across a 1957D Lincoln Wheat Penny with beautiful original color, strong details, clean surfaces, and outstanding preservation, do not overlook it simply because more than 1 billion were produced. The real excitement in coin collecting comes from discovering the exceptional example hidden among the ordinary ones. That small copper-colored coin may represent the final years of the wheat penny story, and in the right condition, certification, and market circumstances, it can become a highly desirable prize for serious Lincoln cent collectors. Important value note for viewers: market prices can change according to grade, certification, color designation, surface quality, strike, varieties or errors, eye appeal, and actual auction demand. The documented figures mentioned here are examples of realized or guide-level market information, and are not a guarantee that every 1957D Lincoln Wheat Penny will sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars. The strongest prices generally belong to exceptional, professionally graded, high-quality, or unusual examples. Always compare your coin with current auction records and professional grading information before making a buying or selling decision. Thanks for watching.